3, 2.
Greetings everyone, it's Emperor Techno here. First off, I'd like to thank you all for 6,000 subscribers. It's been truly amazing to have helped build up the spooky Greentext community here online and being part of this odd culture. You've been the best, most loyal group of fans I could ever ask for. I know things have been difficult for being able to make videos due to me being in the military. However, now that I have a bit more personal freedom and time again, I can get back on track with the Empire. Also, a very special thank you to Gandalf for running things while I was in basic training and Bubly for making that rather beautiful intro. Without further stalling, let's get this show on the road. And until next time, stay weird. One of my all-time favorites from 2013. I'm from Bangladesh, and although the major cities have developed infrastructure, some of the more isolated villages are pretty much like the Dark Ages. There's no electricity, no power for lights or any of that stuff. They are surrounded by dense, thick forests, and the villagers have stories of witches and jinn that live in the trees and sometimes come into the villagers' huts and possess them. When I still lived in Bangladesh, my mom worked as a representative for poor villages. Her job was to basically go to villages around the country, provide them with aid and food, and establish rapport with the people in charge. She would sometimes take me and my sister along with her. This happened when I was about 9 or 10, and is something that has stayed with me to this day. We went to a particularly isolated village. The closest town with electricity and any sort of law enforcement was at least 2 hours away by car. Right when we got there, something was off. Apparently, one of the villagers' sons was acting very strangely. They had him locked up in a barn, and people were gathering like it was a circus show. My mom forbade me to go there, but while she was busy working, I snuck over. What I saw chilled me to the bone. The kid was about my age, naked, foaming at the mouth, and covered in oozing sores. A man threw a live chicken into the barn, and the kid grabbed it by its neck and bit its head off. One of the men told me that the kid was possessed by a churel, a witch spirit with the face of a woman that can only be recognized by its backwards placed feet. They are twisted 180 degrees and face the back of its body. Being a city boy, I just laughed it off. Later that day, I met a boy and a girl from the village, and we began kicking around a soccer ball I had brought. Then I went home. That night, when everyone was asleep, I woke up suddenly. I looked out the window to the barn where the boy was kept, only a few yards away. I saw the door slowly open, and something came out. It was a huge, towering figure, at least 10 feet tall, its face covered by black, scraggly hair. It was wearing a stained white robe, and walked with a strange limp. In the full light of the moon, as it got closer, I could see its feet. They were backwards. My heart started pounding. I wanted to run to my mom in the next room, but my body was frozen in fright. I watched as the thing got closer and closer until it was only a few feet from my window. I looked at its face, and my blood went cold. It was the face of the little girl I had been playing soccer with earlier that day. At that point, I don't know what happened. All I remember is blacking out and waking up the next day. There was a huge uproar because apparently the villager's puss boy was found dead in the barn. I couldn't find the little girl anywhere. I asked around, but no one could even remember knowing a girl with the description I gave them. I tracked down the other boy I had been playing soccer with, and he didn't know either. He said that he only remembered just the two of us playing that day. Be me, about 21 years old, chilling in the lounge on a Saturday arvo with two bros, waiting for more mates and our girls to show up for drinks. Get phone call, it's from my own number, which is pretty weird. Answer the call and it's all staticky and muffled, but I can hear a bunch of people talking and some metal playing. EP's bartender goes on for a few seconds before there's louder scuffling and scratching. Voice says "ah fuck," but dialed someone while then call ends. A few hours later, everyone is chilling, chatting and whatnot. Gonna go have a smoke on the balcony, grab my ciggies and my phone and see I called someone. Say "ah fuck," but dialed someone, lol. MFW, it clicks.
Shared this before. Brother's an archaeologist. We were drinking a bit during Christmas once and he shared this story. For what it's worth, my brother doesn't entertain the paranormal whatsoever. Brothers in Greece, he and a group of archaeologists are on a dig, but there turns out to be a lot of bureaucratic red tape surrounding the excavation site. The dig is postponed indefinitely, so now brother and a bunch of archaeologists are sitting around in the Mediterranean waiting on an official go-ahead to start their work. Brother decides to go exploring around the excavation site. Beautiful weather and scenery. Brother comes upon a grove near the main site. He finds a man sitting on a large stone that's protruding out of the ground. The man is holding what looks like a large, pointed stone, well over a foot in length. Dad thinks, that looks like a Stone Age artifact. Nobody else is supposed to be in the area, so brother figures it's a local who's been illegally digging. Brother yells out, "Hey!" The man turns and looks at him for a long moment. He's an old man with a long beard. He's wearing a brown outfit made of tattered cloth. After a moment the man simply disappears. Brother freaks the fuck out, but still he goes over to inspect the large stone the man was sitting on. He feels an ice cold chill in the air, but he's more interested in the protruding stone. It looks unusual. He sees other stones nearby, kind of arranged in a circle. He goes back to the others and asks the main archaeologist, "Hey, what's that stone formation out in the grove?" The guy's already familiar with it. He says, "It's nothing. But hey, nobody's ever dug there and it's not off limits to us, so let's just check it out." They dig. It turns out to be a grave. They find a man's remains. He's buried with an assortment of beautiful relics, one of which is a stone dagger. Looks exactly like the stone item the strange man was holding before he disappeared. I've had a similar experience, probably not paranormal, yeah, but caught me off guard and made me near shit myself laughing after it happened 2 years ago. Walking around the suburb I grew up in late at night with a now former friend. Basically, we were supposed to go to a pub and deliver a stand-up show, but got kicked out cause underage, and so got mad and walked around the city and the surrounding suburbs late at night. Go to this one spooky park I hadn't visited in years, that I'd previously managed to find because I had a dream about it, and it was where I thought it would be. Park rangers forgot to lock the gates at sunset like they were supposed to, so it's now near midnight. Peering in after about 3 meters, all light fails to penetrate, pitch black. Even the ubiquitous stolen trolleys seem to not want to go into the park. Lamau, they're bunched up outside the park, none inside. Swinging my powerful torch around to try and see what's in the darkness because spook nothing. It's deadly still and silent. We ease up, chuckle, turn around and start to leave. As we turn around, a well-groomed guy in a parka, probably about 6 feet 5 inches, power walks out of the darkness at incredible speed and pushes between us. "Excuse me gents." Power walks into the distance and over the horizon in a matter of seconds. A few seconds of panicked silence, followed by the adrenaline wearing off and us losing our shit, laughing, joking that we just had a run-in with Satan. Good times. Wish the rest of the night hadn't been so shitty though. Really brought the experience down, nearly getting jumped by thugs and having to deal with former bro's constant bitching and whining when he was the one who got us into that mess. Pick unrelated, just for bumping purposes.
People with enhanced connection to the collective unconscious, but who lack proper grounding, spiritual protection, knowledge and support, and have thus fallen in a negative feedback loop of pain and delusion. Schizophrenia is much more prevalent in urban environments, which are basically cesspools for all kinds of demons, which takes its toll on the mind. Potential schizos in rural areas just chill with the trees and shit. Schizos used to be shamans and protect people from evil spirits. Now people throw M in psych wards while getting skull-fucked by evil spirits meanwhile. Is it then a wonder why modern civilization is a mess?
This one is an old urban legend that's been floating around the diving community for years. Never heard a concrete source of it, so emo it probably never happened. Especially since it involves a submarine crew, so I'm not sure how a diver would have heard about it, since as far as I know submarine crews usually stay inside their ship. Anyway, here goes. Submarine is doing something, either war games or patrolling for Chinese/Russian/North Korean/bad guy submarines. The story isn't terribly consistent about this, I hear it different every single time. For whatever reason, they are not using active sonar because they want to avoid detection. Floating dead somewhere a couple hundred meters off the seafloor, they're just sitting there, chilling and listening with their sensors trying to detect enemy submarines or whatever. When they start hearing the noise, their sensors can't make any sense of it, and it's getting louder at an alarming rate. Starts out as something only the sensors can hear, but before long the entire crew is hearing this strange, distorted humming/singing that people always associate with the carpet. Captain thinks the only explanation is that it's some sort of new sonar/jamming technology and order the sonar crew to send out a ping to locate the source of the noise. This is the part of the story that stays the most consistent, I assume because it's the most memorable. The sonar operator shouts out, "New sonar contact. Bearing. Sir? What's our depth?" The captain replies, 500 meters or whatever depth the submarine is supposed to be at. The sonar operator replies, "But sir, the sonar says the sea floor is 10 meters below us." The captain says that's nonsense, then walks over to the sonar station. Checks the reading, then walks over to the helmsman and checks the depth. Checks the nautical charts for where they are. Somehow apparently, the ocean has gotten about 200 meters shallower. A little bit of backstory, was at my friend's grandparents' house with my friend OFC that's in the middle of a forest in Mavrovo Nature Preserve, or whatever it was called, in Macedonia. Be me 1.5 year ago. Be me 14. Sitting outside on porch with friend at like 12:30 or 1 AM playing around with this weird ass Rubik's Cube we bought at an antique store. Having a good time. JPG. We hear a crack in the leaves about 5 meters away from the porch. Spook.png. We brush it off thinking it's the wind. Not even 10 minutes later we hear a yelping of a dog, only it was kind off. We stand up scared shitless. Just as we were gonna run inside, weird ass dog thing appears from behind the trees. We freeze. I look at the 75 to 80 centimeters dog. Notice its tail has no fur. Ooh, what's this.png? Motherfucker has pig toes. Oh, and it had orange, glowing eyes too. Pic related. I run inside, my friend comes short after. We lock the doors and as we run upstairs I turn around to see if it's still there. What the fuck. MP4. Bitch stands up on its back legs and just walks off. Next day we tell his grandparents and they tell us we've seen a CAPOYA, rough translation is old dogger. Never spoke of that shit again nor did we see it again. This was my first post so I'd kiff I fucked up the Greentext. Forgot to say it had a long snout too. Did you just spot a fucking Pacacetus? Bruh. Be me. Fat white Mexican kid. We go to Mexico with family. This place called Kidsania. This place is one hell of a place for a kid, no pedo shit, or at least not from what I can see, all the staff normal and shit. The place is set up in a fashion where the whole building is a theme park, you can make food like Domino's pizza or ice cream. On the second floor there's tubes that you can crawl through in the wall to go to another place. Start going up. Hear screams. WTF. 3 kids come out and try to make a run for it. They step on my face trying to get out. I ask what happened. The little girl tells me they saw a mime. WTF, like a grown-ass dude? Yay, she responds, then runs away. I go to check, long dark tubes. I saw nothing. Fast forward like a decade later. Go to corner store and pick shit up to eat. Sit outside on a bench and watch YouTube. There's a YouTube channel dedicated to all shit paranormal to that city. This is Monterey. See, they have a kids Ania video. In the first 5 minutes they talk about that shit. I was actually scared for once in broad daylight. There's been accounts of this shit and more in that place alone. I know that didn't sound spooky on my end, but you have to understand it's like hearing a song you heard as a kid, but now with a bad feeling.